Welcome, everybody, to this very special Good Friday edition of the Jerich Show. It is my day off, hence I'm in casual today. Otherwise, normally I'm dressed up really smartly, as you know. But I couldn't possibly leave this show alone to be run by an incompetent oaf. So let's kick things off.
Welcome to the Jerich Show, featuring your hosts, Javad Malik and Eric Krohn. Timely topics, poorly presented.
Speaking of incompetent oafs, how are you doing, Eric?
Yeah, nice to see you too. We took last week off, and lo and behold, you start off by going straight for the jugular, man. I mean, sad. Oh, it's James McQuiggan here joining us, friend of the show, and also co-host when Javad decides he doesn't want to show up. Nice to see you, James.
Yes, good to see you, James. Always thank you for the support to you and all of our millions and millions of fans out there. So we have got a packed show today because I was off. So I asked Eric, would you mind compiling the stories for the week? And I think he done a Google search saying top cybersecurity stories of the week and dumped everything into it. So we've got a lot to get through. So let's kick things off with a Swiss Army knife for hacking industrial control systems. This is something actually James would maybe if you'd like to chime in, because he spent many a year working for a provider that works a lot in ICS.
What was that company name again?
I can't remember. So, malware designed to target ICS like power grids, factories, water utilities, and oil refineries respectively. So, there's a piece of code built to target not just one of these industries, but potentially all of them. So ICS owners worldwide should take notice. Should they take notice? Will they ever take notice? Because these are really hard to patch, hard to secure. We still don't know why so many of them are connected online, but when you go and Showdown, you see like hundreds of them connected online. So what do you make of this, Mr. Krohn?
I think Showdown, it's all honeypots out there. There's not really any ICS stuff really online. It's all honeypots out there to sucker these fools in. I think that this is such a danger for organizations or for countries, for nation states, when critical infrastructure is targeted. And here's the thing, though, about critical infrastructure. It's not just cyber attacks that target it. Right. I can't tell you how many times I've seen where like a single squirrel takes down a city grid because it gets into the wires and burns itself up and takes out the transformers and I mean, this stuff, although it's fairly reliable, it always has these threats against it. What I don't like is that there's been a lot of targeted, I would say, probing into these systems that we see. Okay, like they're checking it out. They're seeing where they can get into. They're seeing how far they can go. I think for every one that we hear about somebody being caught in, there's probably 5 or 10 that we have no idea that they've actually gotten in and said, okay, cool, made notes in their little notepad, and now they know they can come back to it. So I do think it's a threat. I do feel for the folks that are in this industry, right? We've talked to some people in this industry recently in another podcast, and they're working as hard as they can. What was the phrase? Keep the lights on and the beer cold, right?
Yeah.
They're trying to do that mission while also dealing with this other side of things, and it's just not a lot of available resources.
That's right, and I think what's interesting is that the Ukraine war has brought to light how much of a real target these things become when there is a blended war. It's something that might think, like you said, they might be in there, but there's no need to burn that asset quite yet because it could be used for something else. Jaden McQuiggan has chimed in. There have only been 7 targeted malware for ICS systems. Interesting bit of fact. If you're ever on a pub quiz, James is the man you want on your trivia team because he knows the most pointless pieces of information. Thank you, James. And if the attack is successful, it's because of poor security design. Another headline from the Department of the Bleeding Obvious. Okay, so let's move on to the next story.
Thanks, though, James. Thanks for interacting. We appreciate you, even if Javad does not.
WhatsApp voice message phishing emails push info stealing malware. So this is interesting because I've been seeing more and more of these attacks, phishing attacks through WhatsApp or other social media. But because WhatsApp is so common and popular amongst the masses, it's there. Like just a few weeks ago, there was a fake Cadbury's Easter egg prize going on. And it was like, click here and you can claim like some free Cadbury's chocolate eggs. And Cadbury's actually put out an advisory saying, no, this is not us. Do not click on it. It's a .ru domain and what have you, and don't give up your information. So this is interesting. Like you see this one coming through is a new campaign impersonating the voice message feature.
Yeah.
And it's designed to steal information, and it's been sent to many email addresses.
And I think that's pretty clever because a lot of people don't use the voice features in WhatsApp. So this may be something they're not familiar with to begin with. So they're kind of like, oh, okay. So they may not even be able to tell if things look a little bit off because they're not used to seeing it for real, although they know it exists. So I think it's kind of clever from that side. But I've been getting them too. Like I'm looking at one right now that came from somebody. Dear, and they forgot to insert a name, right? Dear period. You will be invited to the BTC internal discussion group. Bitcoin, yay! The group will post daily how to earn $200 to $2,000 in the crypto market. Reply 1 and click the link to enter. Pretty smooth stuff right here on WhatsApp. Thank you, folks. But we're seeing that come in more and more. And because they can just target a random phone number, start blasting stuff out there. They get a list of phone numbers, and who knows? A lot of people use WhatsApp these days. And I know it's more popular in other regions than it is here in the US, but there's still a whole lot of US users.
There is. And actually the voice feature is used extensively when it's cross-language. So where like they, because it's an English keyboard on most people and like what have you. So it's really easy. Like you just hit record and you record whatever voice message it is to someone who speaks a different language, and then you don't have to go through the whole translation process. Maybe one of you is not familiar with how to write it and stuff. So it is a very common feature in that regard. Of course, you might not be aware that there are other languages out there in the world, Eric, but
I'm American.
Yes,
Nothing else matters, right? Oh, look, and we have one call can change look at this wonderful
oh, that's amazing. That's an amazing. So talking about scammers and everything. So this is someone who's posted on our Facebook thing. And again, if they use the voice message, we would maybe be able to understand it because we don't read Hindi. I assume it's Hindi that's written here. Yeah, it's an Indian phone number. 91 is the area code for India or country code for India. Okay. So let's phone that person up right now, Eric, and ask him one call can change your life.
Yeah, interesting though, how, in all honesty, how we've been online for a couple of minutes now, and boom, we've already got some stuff coming in like that. This is the world we live in, folks. This is where we're at. I mean, whoa. So yeah, on a similar note here, this is data breach emails used to steal cryptocurrency wallets. So it's like, hey, you've been part of a breach, and who doesn't want? Oh my gosh, okay, big deal. And then they're going to chase that after. They're using that FUD, that fear, uncertainty, and doubt sort of thing, to get you emotionally riled up, and they're using it to target actually stealing things like your crypto wallet. So this was pretty interesting to me, a little bit different angle on it, or at least a discussion point regarding how the emotional attacks kind of work with this. What do you think, Jawad?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, especially when it's something like your bank or your crypto wallet or something where you're worried about it because there's actual hard currency in there. If you get an email saying it's been compromised, here, follow these few simple steps and you can secure yourself, then you're going to want to secure yourself. In this case, what had happened is that the attackers had hijacked the MailChimp account associated with them, and they used that to send out the email. So it was through their normal channels, expected channels, the email came in, and then there's an attachment, say download this new software to protect it, and obviously that was designed to steal their wallet. So it's a sneaky attack, devilishly clever.
Yeah, and
Well,
coming from a known and trusted source makes it that much worse. That's why, like, these Facebook attacks where they go after somebody's Facebook account, people go, what are they going to do with my Facebook? Well, they're going to attack all your friends and family from your legitimate account. I mean, this is why these things are so important, because people trust that. And so, yeah, it's pretty interesting. Again, multi-factor authentication, maybe to help secure those accounts like MailChimp. I don't know. Call me crazy.
Well, possibly. But this is
Depends
the
on how
email that comes through. And what it is that you can see that this is the email that's come through. And because it's come from MailChimp, which they're used to seeing, they've probably whitelisted it. And even if they hover over the to and from and subject, it's all going to look
all legit.
And when you look at it, there's nothing here that is really, it's a cleverly written one. I mean, maybe the only thing is that they've written "Dear Customer" as opposed to "Dear percent first name percent."
Yeah.
But this is it, and it's like download latest version. So it's not even, there aren't really many red flags you can look out for. So it's a really tough one.
It is. It's really clever. It's well done. I hate to say it, but well done, right?
Yeah. But anyway, sorry, we just went anyway, as if like there's no solution to this, so you're on your own, fellas. But what would you advise people do in these situations when they receive an email from their provider saying that there's been a breach?
Look, if there's a latest version, if it's driving you into an action like this, it all comes down to the call to action here, right? Download the latest version. Instead of clicking something in a message, go to the website or go to your client and see if there's a new version available through that update process. Don't go clicking things in messages that you get, especially emails, regardless. I mean, that's just a bad form right there. That's all.
Yeah. I think that's the best thing to do. It's like go to the website of the party, go to the Trezor website, look for announcements or what have you, see if there's anything there before going down it. It's something we can say easily because we live in this paranoid world, but I think it's something very difficult for the average person to really bear in mind and to be mindful of. So,
well, it's a lot easier just to hit the button and quote unquote download, right? And so if you follow the BJ Fogg principles, we're lazy, we're creatures of habit, and we're social, we're creatures of habit. The lazy part comes down to we don't want to do more work than we have to accomplish the goal, which in this case is just clicking the button.
Yeah.
And you're right, we live in this paranoid world. We're kind of used to it, but for the average Joe, maybe not so much. And I would like to point out, though, amazingly enough, you actually agreed with me. And it's all here recorded.
GitHub can now auto-block commits containing API keys, authentication tokens. About freaking time, I think.
And this was in there for a finally sort of story. Like, wow, okay, it's about time we started doing this, because how many times have we seen these kinds of tokens dumped in a GitHub repo, or hard-coded or coded in passwords, dumped in a repo that ends up being catastrophic. So I'm kind of glad to see this happen.
Yeah, it's good. So actually, Microsoft also released another feature last week about auto updates or auto patching, and so it sounds like they're actually making a push across the estate to try and eliminate some of this low-hanging fruit for a lot of the organizations. So
well, after a while, you see the same culprit over and over and over again.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, clearly just having the people do something isn't working. And I hate having to I really don't like putting controls around too much, because then you get into, at some point in time, this is actually going to impact somebody negatively, right? There's going to be some people that, for whatever reason, in a testing API or something, that they want to publish this up there, and it may impact them negatively if they've enabled this feature. And again, it's a feature you have to enable, as I understand it. But ultimately, at some point in time, we have to attack this. We have to take it on, and we have to try to fix it. Now, we've seen things where the government has gone through. Remember, they were patching people's Exchange servers for them a while back. Remember that? Yes. Right. Yes. And so that's the stuff, that's like the slippery slope I don't like to see, is when we start getting more and more down that road of people doing things for you, like modifying your code in GitHub. But it is needed. Now, if we can only come up with something that auto secures S3 buckets, we might have a chance.
Yeah. So I think it's more about, so there's a few aspects to it. One is the designing something that's secure. So secure by design. So people just don't have the option of doing that. But that's to your point. You're putting guardrails on every single action that you do, which is fine. I think in some cases you need that, but in other cases you need to give a bit more freedom because there's that needed. I think the second step is, rather than going then full hog and, like you said, changing people's code, you raise the flags to them through whatever channel is, like, are you sure you want to do this because this? Are you sure you want to do this? Ask them 3 times. Just be really sure that they're fully aware of the actions they're taking, or whatever that might be. Or flag it to the admin or the account owner within the organization to say, hey, we've seen this many GitHubs repositories that your developers have, and this many have these things in it. Maybe you want to take a look at it. So it's about, like, providing, some of it is about stopping the action, some of it is providing the right the information so people can make the informed choice as to whether that's something they actually want to do or not.
Yeah, I agree. But
do you agree?
We are making steps forward in some of this stuff when it comes to security, especially when it comes to things like passwords. And, if you look at what's happened with a lot of home routers or IoT devices, as opposed to back in the day where you would connect to it and the default password was admin or admin nothing, right? Now, in order to set up the device, there is no admin password by default. You have to actually go in and you have to create some sort of a password at the time of setup. Otherwise, it doesn't let you through to the next step. And that is actually, to me, a pretty big deal. And it's showing that we're making a difference. And that, the vendors are listening a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, listening, being forced to listen, losing business. I don't know, whatever way you want to put it. Where have I put the thing now? Hacking forum RaidForums shut down and founder arrested in global police operation. UK-based founder Diogo.
I'm American. I can't say it.
Coelho. That doesn't sound like a UK name, but anyway, extradited to the US on charges of conspiracy, access device fraud, and aggravated identity theft. What is aggravated identity theft? I love how these things come up. But the RaidForums hacker forum used by cyber criminals to primarily buy and sell stolen databases have been shut down and its domain seized by US law enforcement, coordinated by Europol and law enforcement from numerous countries. So this is a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah. It's refreshing to see some law enforcement actions actually happening.
Yeah. So the dude Diogo was arrested in the UK in January, accused of running the forum while establishing a membership scheme where the users of the site could pay for access to chat rooms. Man, this guy's wasted. If he just built a legit service, he could have gone to RSA, got funding, and become a millionaire already. So,
you just need a VC pitch.
No. Have been arrested. One of them, a 21-year-old UK citizen, was arrested by the NCA in March, but has been released under investigation. Police officer seized a whopping £5,000 in cash. Wow. Thousands in US dollars, probably back to then, and put a freeze on crypto assets worth more than $500,000. Okay,
and there it is. Yeah, there it is. We're not busting people down for like $5,000 here, $5,000 there. Then you throw in the crypto side of things, and that's where it's all gone off the rails.
Yeah.
Yay, crypto.
I know. So related to this is the UK charges 2 tenures linked to the Lapsus hacking group. So so they've been released on bail, but a 16-year-old and a 17-year-old.
Yeah, we talked about this a few weeks ago.
That's right.
About this coming down. I find it interesting that they were released, but I don't know, I guess because they're young or whatever.
Yeah.
But again, it's refreshing to see some actual law enforcement stuff happening with these sorts of groups. We see every day, stuff goes on all the time and nobody ever seems to be held accountable for it. If people start getting busted for it, it's going to be less tempting for them to take up a life of cybercrime.
Well, you say that. Well, when they hear about people with like $500,000 in a crypto wallet, it's tempting for even the most untemptable teen.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, this teen that got busted there, also UK, had like $1 million or more, several $1 million in crypto accounts as well. This from the Lapsus group, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember the exact number, but it was a whole lot for your kid to have in there, and you got to wonder if the parents are like, oh wow, okay, look, we just won't talk about this. We think he's making his money as an influencer or a gamer. We're just going to go with that. By the way, love the new ride outside. I don't even know. Maybe he wasn't flashy with it.
Yeah. Cool. Anyway, that's what was the end of our stories, unless you had any other stories. So are you going to RSA, Eric?
I am not going to RSA.
But we can't do our pitch for the big data 2.0 thing.
Yeah. Sorry. No, having that Achilles surgery, so I'm in no shape to be running around at RSA.
Or you're in no shape to be anywhere. So with that, we'll wrap up for the day. Thank you very much for joining us. We will see you again No, we won't see you actually.
Yeah,
we won't see you next week, will we?
No, I think we should do this. I think we should do it from Orlando.
So next week I'm flying over to Orlando. There's no before con, so we'll both be there, and then we might find a space in the restaurant, in the hotel we're staying at, in the resort we're staying at. Or do you remember, like, it was at RSA like 2 years ago when we first started recording these, and we were like rearranging the furniture in the hotel room, and we were recording at 11 p.m. at night or midnight.
Yep.
It was just like a mess.
We had Tom popping up behind the couch, Tom Langford, and there was that towel over the mystery stain in the couch. If anyone goes back and looks at that,
it was your room.
Yeah, we were both trying to avoid that. It was that's how it all started, folks. 83 episodes ago, and okay. So James says he's going and wants us to do the podcast live next Friday. So I think we should do it from there.
Maybe he'll be the pop up from behind the couch every now and then.
There we go. Well, we'll have a lot of people there that can be on the show. Honestly, we could do a round table or something.
Ooh. And on that bombshell, see you next week, folks. Goodbye.